Good morning, members of the league. Kamish, Mike, Mo here. Doing a little brief preview, just a little bit late actually. Didn't really get time last night. Parents were up in town, and yeah, got to watch a little bit of the game. Although that game did not change any of my projections for the week or possible winnings of different people because nobody played out of their mind of anything. Basically last night had no impact on what I'm going to choose for today. So let's get started right away because, in all honesty, I got to go to work here. The Keo Sorrento matchup of the week is between Jason Ferguson and Mike Samuels. Super duper fun against the Pink Gorillas. Uh, if Mike Samuels would have maybe started Joe Flacco last night, then maybe we could have had some slight variance in this. But Flacco did have 19 points on his bench. Super duper fun team. Jason, if I was a Dennis Pitta owner right now, I would be irate. Owen Daniels, 2 touchdowns. I don't know when the last time Owen Daniels had 2 touchdowns was, but it was a long time ago. Stole them both away from Pitta. Left Pitta with only 6 points from last night. So as far as original projections, live projections, Jason did lose a few points, but let's get into this a little bit deeper. Mike Samuels is rolling out Aaron Rodgers again this week. I think he's going to put him on the trade block if he has one more bad game. I would not be surprised at that whatsoever. He is rolling out his big 3 wide receivers in his mind: Fitzgerald, Tate, and Jennings. Basically, old, not as old, and very old. And I'm going to keep saying that every week, Mike. I don't care how many points Greg Jennings puts up. He's going to keep riding the wave of Noshawn Moreno, now projected to do quite a few more points. And you may have had a good thought last week. Lamar Miller did not look as good as Moreno. Moreno looked like, and I quote from ESPN, the best player on the field last week in Miami's game. So could have got a little bit of a steal there. So Jason Ferguson's team is open for a little bit of a bounce back week from Foles. He's open. Marshawn Lynch still carries on from last week as well. Lynch played out of his mind, looked to be in true beast mode fashion, and still has Steven Jackson. And I'm not a Steven Jackson fan this year. I think we all know that. So hopefully, good luck for him. And Sammy Watkins going against Miami, hoping for a breakout week. I don't think he gets it against Miami though. In fact, as I look at these schedules a little bit deeper of each individual player, Jason Ferguson's team has some hard matchups coming. Against the tough Cincinnati defense, the Steven Jackson, at Green Bay for Decker, not a very fun place to play. Indianapolis did actually a decent job against Peyton Manning, I suppose, but they're going to go against Nick Foles. I don't really like Jason's matchups whatsoever, so I'm going to take Mike Samuels in the upset for his first win in the season in this game. Our next game, I'm battling some cold too, so I'm going to keep coughing. Is Doug and Roger. We have the I can never say that, Swedish Assassin versus Strong Badia Cheats. I'm going to take Doug in pretty much a landslide this week. It is probable that Cam Newton plays, so at least Roger will have a quarterback this week. Jordan Cameron, however, is questionable. I know he has not been practicing. I don't foresee him playing this week whatsoever, but he did pick up Donald off the waiver wires, which when I watched him play, they basically just throw the ball up to him and he catches everything. So could be a nice little steal. Nice job, Roger, on that pickup. Frank Gore going against a porous Chicago defense. He will probably have a pretty decent game on the good side of things. And Kelvin Benjamin, extremely impressed last week, going against Detroit secondary that we all know is not good. Looking for McCoy to have a little bit of a bounce back week. I think they went way away from him too much last week, and that's part of the reason why they had such a hard time playing. As I mentioned before, Philly is going against Indianapolis. I like McCoy better than I like Foles overall as a Philadelphia player, though. On Doug's team, he has a ton of questionables and probables throughout. I think most, if not all of them, are going to play. But Alshon Jeffrey, has not practiced. Best contract in the league, not practiced this week. He may try to give it a go, but all signs are not looking great right now. We have Crabtree, Foster, Lacey, all at probable. Lacey did pass his concussion test. Foster, he's a walking injury. And then Crabtree did not play well last week. I know he was a little bit hampered by his injury. However, I think he does play. And then Gronk is going to get more than just a few limited snaps, it sounds like, this week, even though he did put up a touchdown last week. I'm going to say one of the more disappointing players in the league this year is on Doug's team and is Alfred Morris. He put up under 10 last week. He's going against Jacksonville this week. Not looking great overall as far as Washington's offense goes. And they're more of a pass-happy offense now as well. So as a result, long term, Morris has a 70-something dollar contract for this year. I think that's going to be a waste of 70-something dollars. So just something to keep in the back of your head. However, both teams, as far as matchups go on the defensive side of things, they're pretty evened out. I think Rodgers actually does have a little bit better matchups, but I'm going to give the edge to Doug because he has a much better players. Doug in a landslide on that one. And then we go to Jared and Derek Lehman. Maybe I underestimated Derek Lehman a little bit last week. Said he was going to get blown out. However, I am almost going to guarantee he is blown out this week. As far as we look at favorites and underdogs, he's an 81% favorite according to Yahoo. He's projected about 30 to 40 points. Well, now he's over 40 points higher. And it did not help Derek Lehman that the Baltimore freaking Ravens could not score a touchdown yesterday, and they kicked field goal after field goal after field goal after field goal. Tucker put up 15. Steve Smith is looking like he was 5 years ago. He had a great game. Very impressed with that outing. Jared, nice pickup with him thus far this year. A couple of question marks for Jared, though. He does have Braden Marshall, and Toby Gerhart both questionable. Gerhart says he will play. His ankle is struggling a little bit, but he is going to try to give it a go. Marshall, I mean, we saw him go out last week. He came back in. He did strong. He finished up. However, he does have the questionable tag and did not practice yesterday. Today will be a good feeling. Man, a good indication of he's going to play or not this week. So, Brandon Cooks going against Cleveland. Joe Hayden did not look like a shutdown corner last week, and you know what? They don't have another corner of the team, and Hayden will not line up against Cooks. So I think Cooks gets a ton of catches, a ton of carries. So far, the steal of the rookie draft, I feel like an idiot right now because I could have had him very easily. Forte continues to look like a beast. The offense is going to run through him, especially with the injuries happening right now with Marshall and Jeffrey. And Kaepernick gets to be the beneficiary of that Chicago defense. So Jerry's going to put up some big totals this week. I'm going to go probably closer to almost 150 points to him, although his original projections were 137. Lehman, he just doesn't really have the talent overall. As you look at his team, you know, his top point getter every week is mapped out to be Alex Smith. It's not usually a good feeling overall. Miles Austin, he looked horrible last week. He surprised me. I was kind of disappointed that I didn't get Miles Austin. I was happy last week I didn't get Miles Austin because he does not look like himself even 2, 3, 4 years ago, pre-hamstring, mid-hamstring, any hamstring. He's just hurt. Pierre Thomas, he's sharing so much of the backfield right now, and he's going against that same Cleveland defense. Malcolm Floyd going against Seattle. Anybody going against Seattle is not good. So basically, I will tell you this. If New Orleans and Cleveland happens to be a very high-scoring game, Derek Lehman will do well between Austin, Colston, and Thomas. I have a feeling, no, it won't be a very high-scoring game. So I'm going to take Jared in a pretty big victory. Now, in some of the closer games coming up, we have a few surprises. The Derricks. We'll call this the rivalry game of the week, just because it's Derek. Actually, I just lied. One of the rivalry games of the week, just because it's Derek against Derek. Marcus Wheaton for Derek Naberta put up 11 last night. He is looking like a good player, good pickup overall. He has taken the diapers off of Terrence West, which he should because he's going to start. So that was probably an easy decision. Going to roll out his newly acquired Fred Jackson, 33-year-old running back. I hate Fred Jackson. He kills me every week. I hate him. Still sticking strong with Matthew Stafford, and Percy Harvin's not injured yet, so he's going to be out there playing as well. For Derek's team, actually these two, Derek Mostrom's team, I should say, but both Derek's teams, they don't have any injury issues right now whatsoever. Two of the only teams in the league that are able to say that. But his defensive matchups are going to be quite a bit tougher than what Derek Naberta's are. As Cutler goes against San Fran, You have Bo going against Denver, coming off of his suspension. Denver has great defense. Ryan Matthews against Seattle. I just don't like a lot of these matchups. Zach Stacy, besides Alfred Morris, Zach Stacy might be my other disappointment of the possible year for Derek Mostrom's team. Vernon Davis, all he does is catch touchdown patches or passes, either or. And I'm going to go back to what I reverted to with Derek Lehman's team. If Chicago and San Francisco is a high-scoring game, Derek Mostrom's team has a very good chance of winning. Will probably win. Between him and Cutler, between Bolden, between Vernon Davis, I thought he had one more. Nope, incorrect. But those three, if they put up big points, he has a great chance. I don't think they're going to put up humongous points to overcome a lot of these strong defenses. I mean, even C.J. Spiller plays Miami. I'm going to take Derek Noberta in a slight upset win. Congratulations, Derek, getting on the board. Probably will be 1-1 in overall then, which will be good for second in the division because I'm going to beat Scott. So Derek Noberta with the win. In the Duel All Brothers, rivalry game number 2 of the week, we have the Hurricanes and Andy. This is another one of those matchups. Why am I so questioned about Andy Humholdt's team? I don't know. He picked up Forsett. He had him play last night, 11.2 points. Is what it is. I don't think Victor Cruz is going to have a year whatsoever. He continues to roll him out. Going against Arizona, Peterson's going to be guarding him. I don't like that matchup whatsoever. I do like a couple of his other matchups, including possibly Mike Wallace at Buffalo. As long as the weather's okay, I think Wallace does well. Eric mentioned this previously, but Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen is going to have another big game. I mean, Carolina has Benjamin and Olsen. That's it. When I watched portions of that game last week, that's all I did. Look at Olsen, Benjamin, Olsen, Benjamin. Olsen's going to have another huge game, so that's going to help offset maybe Victor Cruz, maybe Tony Romo, even though Dallas is going to throw the ball a ton. I like Tennessee's defense. I really do. And then even Edelman going against Minnesota. Minnesota, I believe, was the highest ranked defense last week, according to points overall, because they scored touchdowns. But they did a heck of a job at the same time, too. Vincent Jackson against St. Louis. Chris Long is going to be out for an extended period of time, so maybe that gives Josh McCown a little bit more time to get the ball out, get released to a long bottom receiver like Vincent Jackson or Mike Evans, either or. And then Randall Cobb going against the Jets, another tough defense. So Andy's matchups are not looking great overall, so I'm going to go over to Eric's here. And Peyton Manning's against Kansas City. Kansas City is not the team that they were last year. I think we all figured that out. They need to start feeding Jamal Charles the ball quite a bit more to get to that point. Calvin Johnson looked strong last week for Eric, fortunately or unfortunately, because we all lost out to bidding on that for like 5 years. But Johnson, 2 touchdowns, went up, got the ball, outran people. Patterson did not look as good on the receiving end, but had the great rushing touchdown. He's rolling out the dual Detroit running backs with Bush and Bell. I'm going to take the under on their combined projected total of 25 points. I just don't like it. I don't like rolling out 2 running backs on the same team and a wide receiver, nonetheless, even if it is Calvin Johnson. Jason Witten looked old and slow last week. He's going up against Tennessee, and that's going to be interesting because Romo, of Andy's team, going to Witten pretty much. How's the cheering going to go in that game? Could be interesting. And Deshaun Jackson against Jacksonville. I don't really like that either. So I think this game is going to probably be, if not the closest, the second closest game of the week. I'm going to say within 10 points. I'm going to give the nod to the Hurricanes, just because I do like a few of his matchups better. I think he has more of a superstar power between Manning, Bryant, and Johnson, and Patterson. And I'm just saying and a lot. And I'm going to take him in a win. And finally, the game of the week, the rivalry matchup of the week, myself against Scott. After last night, freaking Brown out of Pittsburgh on that last drive, I think had 6 or 7 points between all his catches and yards. So he ended up with 17. Bell ended up with 15.7, slightly below projections. Brown went slightly above. But that's all that we needed to shift slightly the underdogs and favorites even more. Right now he's projected to beat me by 2 points. And I think, this might be within a 5 or 10 point game. A couple question marks out there. Lee out of Jacksonville is questionable, and that actually just popped up today. He has a hamstring injury, but he did practice fall. Cecil Shorts has a hamstring injury, so he's probably looking good. AJ Green for myself is battling some injury problems as well. So two receivers, mine a little bit bigger than his, having issues. At the quarterback position, I'm going to go step by step in this game because it is the matchup of the week. I'm going to give him maybe a slight nod over me. He has Breeze rolling out. I have Ryan. Both away games at Cleveland, Cincinnati. Weather could come into play with it. Matt Ryan, however, typically plays a lot worse on the road than at home, as we all know. Breeze doesn't have that big a difference, so I'm going to give that over to Scott. At the receiver position, he's rolling out Demaryius Thomas, arguably the number 1 or 2 wide receiver this year. You're welcome for that trade. Brown, who we already discussed, and Keenan Allen. I'm rolling out Garcon, Michael Floyd, and AJ Green. On paper, typically I'm going to give this one to Scott again. But when you look deeper into the matchups, Keenan Allen's going to go against Seattle, probably Richard Sherman. Allen will be shut down again this week. AJ Green going against Atlanta. If he does play, which I think he's going to play, Atlanta does not have a great defense as we saw last week. Floyd going against the Giants for myself. The Giants defense stinks. Brown already played. And then Garcon in Jacksonville, Thomas in Kansas City. I'm going to give that slightly over to Scott on that. But I'm going to give myself a little bit of a edge in the wide receiver position. Next up, running backs. I have Charles and Bell. Charles against a tough Denver defense, although they did say they were going to feature him a lot more. DeMarco Murray against Tennessee. Bernard against Atlanta. I think Bernard does have a good solid game. I don't think Murray does. I'm going to take myself at running back at the same time in that matchup. Tight end, I will take myself every week with Julius Thomas against Kansas City, Rudolph against New England. And then at the flex, I have Wayne and Ball against Lee and Vereen. Big edge to me in that realm, too. Kicker, I'm going to give to him. Carolina is going to probably score more points than the Bears are going to score overall. So I'm going to take myself in a win just because I'm not going to pick against myself generally, unless it's a blowout for some reason. I think this legacy battle continues with Scott and I. I am very happy to hopefully be out of his division later on and looking forward to the future. So this is now 17 minutes. This is going to be quick. I got to go. Peace, guys. Enjoy the night.